Okay, this is a quick look at the notes. Whoops, sorry about that. The notes written on the grand staff. So let's just talk about a few things. Up here we've got the treble clef. Down here we've got the bass clef, and they're tied together with a bar, these bar lines, which divide the music into bars or measures. This number here, 4, tells you that there should be 4 beats or 4 counts total in each bar, okay? And when this is tied together with this grace, with this bracket, it means that you're reading both the top and the bottom at the same time. So you're playing both right hand and left hand together if there are notes written for both hands. Okay. So this is we're not going to learn all the notes right away. Okay. We're going to slowly build up our understanding and our knowledge about the notes in the treble clef and the bass clef. So this is the first note you need to learn in the treble clef. It's middle C. Okay, so that's the C that we play on the piano with our right hand. If you have a full-size piano and you are counting up from the bottom of the piano, I can actually show you. If you're counting up from the bottom of the piano, this would be the very lowest C, or C1, C2, C3, C4. C4 is middle C at a regular full-size piano or keyboard. It's also the C closest to the middle. Okay, so that's middle C. So that's one note that we have done one video on this, but this is the middle C. Think of this as a ladder, and if you go these are all on the same line, they have a little line going through the note, then that means they're the same note. If we move slightly higher to the space just above that little line that C is on, it's dangling, it's from this line here, this first line, and it's in between the line that C is on and this line. So that means it's only one higher, so that follows to the next note on the piano on the right, or the next letter in the alphabet. So after C comes D. So this is D. And if we move one higher from that dangling D to that first line of the treble clef, well, that would be an E. And we've got 4 E's there, and then we take up a step from that line to the space above it, would be F. And the next one above that on the line is G. Okay, so that's the C, D, E, F, and G. And we really want to memorize by sight what only some of these notes look like at first. And then we'll think of all the other notes in relation to the notes that we know. For example, if we know C, and I think we can learn dangling D because it has a pretty distinctive image to it, sight. It's dangling from that line. Whoops. So if we could learn those two, we know that E is just one higher than D, or it's on that first line. And let's actually jump over to where G is. This is also a note that we want to learn. The second line of the treble clef. If we scan over here where this treble clef, where you see where it curls in, right at the G line. So it's kind of showing you where G is. And it looks a bit like a fancy G, and it curls in at the G line. So if we scan over that second line, we can see that's the G line. Okay, so we want to memorize G, which is the second line from the bottom of the treble clef, C, and D. In the bass clef, I'm just going to give you one note for now, and that is the C, the lower C on the piano that we're learning to play with our left hand, with our 5th finger, or with our pinky finger. Okay, so we want to memorize where that C is. It's in a space, but it's not the lowest space, it's the second space. Okay, so this is the C on the piano that is below middle C. And all the same rules that I was just talking about where notes going higher would apply. So if that's C and we want to go up 1 to the next line, that's D, that's E, that's F, and that's G. Like I said, we're just learning C. And I'm going to jump over here for a second. So C, E, going to show you one more thing. One of the practice techniques was to play C, E, G, 5, 3, 1. Da, da, da. We can see the way that it's, look at the way it's spaced out. Each note is in a space. We're skipping the lines. And if we look at that on the piano, C, E, G. We're skipping a note here and we're skipping a note here. If we want to kind of start to see that pattern of those shapes, skipping a note, C, E, G, and C, E, G in the bass clef. Okay, so that's your beginning point to learning to read these notes in the bass clef and the treble clef. And there's going to be more to follow. And yeah, so for the rest of the class, just spend some time practicing what I explained in the other video. If you want to take a look at rockets, you can, but I think you can probably save that for next week and work on Ode to Joy and the other practice tips I gave you in the other video. Okay, good luck.